Hello.
All right.
Hey, okay. I'm here. I was worried about you.
Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So who all are? We're still waiting on people. I don't think we have a quorum yet.
Let's see. Brad, Debbie.
There's four there. There's Brad, Debbie,
Hi.
Grant.
Okay. So we're missing.
Right.
Debbie Strauss-Boyd, are you on?
I don't see a good connection.
I've been on hold for quite a while trying to get through to this meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dennis, thanks. We figured out what's going wrong. We switched. We used the same basically call-in system that they use for city council, and then when city council went to a hybrid, it required a moderator, and so we weren't aware of that until about 2 seconds ago. So that's why you saw me on the phone with our IT guy. I got the moderator code, so I was able to get everybody in. But right now, I'm still trying to get us to a quorum because I've got Grant, I've got Brad, and I've got Dennis Paulson, so I only have 3. We need one more, Grant.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well, there's Bill.
Oh, there's Bill.
Bill. I count 4, Jason.
I count 4 with Bill now, yes. So Dennis, what number are you? Are you the 94032?
He's 709.
I don't see a 709.
I don't have a 709.
I don't exist.
253 709 432.
Oh, I got it. And Debbie, you're on here twice, right?
I don't know why.
Here, I'm gonna mute one of you because you got an echo.
Yeah.
How about that now, Debbie? Oop, wrong one. How about that now, Debbie?
Is that good?
That's good.
Okay. And so we're good. We have a quorum. We, I guess, have communication. So it is 6:36 on August 4th, 2021. I'm going to declare the Planning Commission meeting to come to order. Could we have the roll call, please?
Chair Sullum,
Here.
Vice Chair Sarver, Commissioner Dahl,
Here.
Commissioner Paulson,
Here.
Commissioner Strauss-Boyd, absent, Commissioner Frederick,
Here.
City Staff, Jason Sullivan, Planning and Building Supervisor,
Here.
Debbie McDonald, Planning Commission Clerk here.
And we have a guest this evening who's got her mic turned off. This is Jessica. No, I'm not that. Banyan.
Yeah, so Jessica Binion is joining the Planning Commission, joining tonight to listen and observe. She has recently been selected, nominated to fill Commissioner Bouse's rest of his term. Unfortunately, because of the way everything lined up with council meetings, her actual, vote on the appointment isn't until next Tuesday night. And since our next Planning Commission won't be until October October. I wanted her to at least sit in and hear the discussion and the debate, and kind of see what she's getting into. So if she wants to change her mind in the next week, she has that option too. So
No, she can't change her mind.
yeah, Jessica is here as an observer, not as a commissioner. So just kind of keep that in mind as we move through the meeting. It was just more for her to be here to kind of hear and see what the planning commission does. So
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Jessica.
Nice to meet you too. Thanks for letting me
Welcome.
listen in.
Okay, we've had the roll call, and I need to get a motion right now to cancel the September 1st meeting. So would somebody make that motion?
I'll make that motion. I move that we cancel the September 1st meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 And when's our next meeting, Jason?
it'll be October 6th.
So show of hands for everybody who can make the meeting on October 6th. Got 1, 2,
I won't be.
3. Okay.
Hello.
Bill,
I won't be able.
Okay, Dennis.
I can make it.
So we've got a quorum for the next meeting. And hopefully some of the others will work their way in. Approval of the minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move the minutes be approved.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it, but I do have a correction or two.
Yep, that's what we're going for now. So is there any
Okay.
corrections, additions, deletions?
Yeah, so the motion that was made to remove the cement mixing and the junkyards, I'm pretty sure that was me that made that motion, not Commissioner Sarber.
So we did get that corrected?
Yep.
Yes. Any other corrections, additions? Call the question. All those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Public comment and concerns. And
So we did not receive any, since we're doing under the COVID protocols, all the comments have to be submitted in writing by 5:30. We did not receive any general public comments and concerns. We did receive some comments related to one of the public hearings, so we'll address that during the public hearing. But generally, we did not receive any general public comments or concerns by the 5:30 deadline.
so that moves us to the public hearing. So I'm going to open the public hearing on ordinance D21-85, 2021 zoning map amendments.
All right, and I'm going to share my screen, and I'll let you know that if you haven't seen it, we sent out a new public comment matrix because we received a couple of public comments that came in late today and yesterday. So you should have a new public comment matrix that was emailed out this afternoon. And I'll still walk through all of those public comments as we talk about the different zoning changes. Just give me 1 second here to bring up my map, or my presentation. All right, Grant, you see the screen now?
I've got a split screen with us on one side and your header page on the other.
All right. So tonight is the ordinance for a public hearing for ordinance D2185, which is the 2021 zoning map amendments. The recommendation of the city council, a recommendation of the planning commission will be forwarded to the city council for final consideration and vote, and to take official action. So to kind of to begin with, When the comprehensive plan was adopted in 2015, we adopted a future land use map. The future land use map identifies the land use designations for every property within the city, and reflects what the zoning of those properties should be over time. The zoning classifications are required to be consistent and implement that future land use map. And so part of this ordinance, or the primary driver behind this ordinance, is to bring our zoning map into compliance with our future land use map as required by the Growth Management Act and state law. Because this was a zoning change, we did do our standard public noticing, which means we posted it at all the city posting locations. We posted it on the website. We have a email notification list that we have been collecting for years of everybody who's ever signed up to want to know about either the planning commission or just general planning, and they get a notification in their email inbox. We did also take the step of mailing a letter to every property owner whose property was affected by the proposed zoning reclassification. So we typed up a letter. The letter, a copy of that letter template is in your packet. It basically outlined what their current zoning designation was, what the zoning designation was going to change to, and who they could contact at the city, and kind of the reason behind it was this reason to ensure consistency between the zoning map and future land use map. This says we did get 6 comments from 6 individuals. After I wrote this PowerPoint, we received one more, so we got 7 comments. And I believe we mailed out, and I know Mary's on the line, so I'm going to have her jump on real quick if she's still here. I don't see her. But I want to say we mailed out probably over 100 notices. I didn't count them, and it was a number of notices that we mailed out.
172.
172. So out of 172 notices we mailed out, we got 7 comments back. So this is the future land use map that I was referring to. It's currently figure 2-2 of the Bonney Lake Comprehensive Plan. And as you can see, it has kind of it looks very much like a zoning map, but identifies different land use designations for different areas here in the city. And tonight's action is to amend the zoning map to be more in line and reflective of the future land use map. So the first change is to the Swissman's Sports Club. Currently, the area shown to be changed to public facility is currently zoned Midtown Core. This parcel is split zoned between those 2 zoning designations. The other half of the property that's kind of here in the light green is already zoned public facility. The Midtown Core zoning designation does not allow for recreational type facilities like and camps and the things that happen at the Sportsman Club's warehouse. The zoning designation to PF would ensure that recreational type facilities that occur on the Sportsman's Club warehouse property would continue to be able to occur. We did receive a comment letter from the club in general, and it's included in the revised land matrix that went out today. In general, they were supportive of the rezone. They understood their nature for the rezone and understood that the intent was to allow them to continue to operate the facility as a sportsman club like they have since 1947. They did have one kind of more poignant question, and they were concerned that really 2 things. One, this change to public facility meant that they were open to the general public, and 2, that they couldn't verify or specifically see that some of the uses that they do on the site, like the gun range they have, the party, not parties, but the festivals and events that they have on the site would be continued to be allowed. In regards to the public facilities designation, it doesn't mean that the property is open to the general public. The zoning designation was set up for both just general public facilities, but also what we call quasi-public facilities, which are facilities that are open to the public, and in this case, with a membership. So it fits within the intent of the zone. Also, there's an NICS code, which is 713990, which is for recreational facilities, and it's a permitted use in the public facilities designation. When you go and look at that NISCS code, it allows for specifically shooting ranges, dance halls, picnic areas, and those types of recreational facilities. So the way that the Sportsman's Club has been operating, we continue to operate, and the permitted use of a recreational facility would cover those uses that they're currently doing on the site. So that's that one, and I can answer questions as we go through because that might be easier. So, is there any questions about this one specifically?
And that was the only comment we received on this one?
Yes, sir.
Any questions? No? Then I am going to close the public hearing.
Oh no, Commissioner, we have 6 more of these to do. Chair Solomon.
I asked if there was any more comments on this.
On this one map, we have 6
right.
more map excerpts to go.
Okay.
I just wanted to walk through each one individually because they're kind of spread out all over the city and answer questions on them individually, so we can answer it while it's up on the screen. So I'll step through. I apologize for that confusion.
Okay. Let's go to the next one then.
All right, go back over here. So this is map excerpt number 2. This is the area just east of 214th Avenue off of 410. Currently, all of the areas shown to be changed either from C2 to C2, R3, or RPF are all currently zoned East Town. East Town is in the process of becoming kind of a light industrial zone, so it really wasn't applicable to these areas. And additionally, when the city did the centers plan update in 2017, 2018, we took this kind of area out of East Town because it was more consistent with the development patterns in Midtown and made it part of the Midtown core. As part of that, we amended the future land use map to show that this area should be either designated as C2 or R3 or public facility in that little green spot. So the area, the land use designation is general commercial, which is the C2 designation, except for the R3. It's important to note that as part of the amendments that are currently being considered by the City Council for Easttown, a lot of the uses in this area would become unpermitted in the new Easttown zoning classification, like residential and those types of uses. So that zoning change, it kind of addresses that. We did receive one letter regarding concerns for the mobile home park and that the commercial zoning designation would prevent people from putting new homes into that facility. Currently, the mobile homes are zoned Easttown, which is a commercial zoning classification in and of itself, and allows for mobile home parks that existed at the time of annexation. As part of the ordinance that we're doing for Easttown, we're also amending the land use matrix to specifically say that in the C2, you could do a mobile home park provided that it was in existence prior to annexation. Basically, the identical language applied to the C2. In short, that means the 2 mobile home parks can continue to operate as they have been. They can continue to place new or replacement facilities or homes in those parks. And so there really is not a change to those things. And we kind of explain that in the land use matrix. Any comments on or questions on map 2? Right.
No?
And the one changing to public facility is a city detention pond or a DOT detention pond and DOT right away.
Detention or retention?
Detention.
No.
So map excerpt number 3, actually, we have seen more public or supportive we see the real supportive comments. So what happened is these 4 parcels that are shown to be changed to R1 are currently zoned public facility. The best we can tell, it was an accident when they put in the zoning for the adjacent park. This is Inlet Island Park, which is next door. The zoning of public facilities to these 4 properties has prevented 2 of them from having homes built on them, because homes aren't a permitted use in the public facility zoning classification. So this change to R1 allows for those properties which are either vacant or already have single family homes to be consistent with the surrounding area. The public facility designation to those 4 properties was in error. And we did, and I forgot to include it in this, we'll update it, but we did receive 1 comment on this one from a real estate agent thanking the city for making those changes.
Any questions on this? Moving along.
Map excerpt number 4. This is another park in the city. It's the Church Lake Division Park. It's also a quasi-public facility because it's a private park. But half of the park is zoned public facility, half of the park is zoned R1, which has created some problems when we're trying to do permitting for the facility. This designation would change it from R1 to public facility, so the entire park is zoned a public facility. We received no comments or questions regarding this one.
Any? Moving on to 5.
Map excerpt number 5. This area is kind of commonly known as the pothole. For those who've been around the area for a while, about 5-6 years ago, there was a huge flooding event in the city where we made the news because people got cut off from their homes and had to use rowboats. He had to use a rowboat to get across to his house. That is this area. It is what we refer to as a kettle. It does not have a natural outfall. What that means is over time, if we have a big snow or snow on rain event, this area that's highlighted in green can flood. Actually, most of the area down here is wet year round. And so when we did the comprehensive plan update, we knew about this flooding issue. And so it's all within floodplains and critical areas. So it was designated in the comprehensive plan to be zoned to the RC5. The RC5 is a residential conservation district that was established by the city to zone properties in a way that reflects the environmental constraints that have been placed on the property. So these 4 properties in question here they're not on sewer. The sewer lines are significantly far away. They're within floodplains. They're within critical wetlands. And so the land there is not suitable for development at an urban density, which is exactly what the RC5 was designed to implement. I will say we did not receive a specific comment related to this specific proposal. We did receive 1 general comment, which was the last comment that says, I oppose the down zoning. We don't know which property or which map that is in relationship to, so I don't know if it was this one or another one, but this one, as I said, is to address the pothole. The other option is you leave it as R1, well, not option, but the other option to deal with the flooding of the properties was to do a capital improvement project that was well over $3 million in order to pump the water out of the area when it flooded. So we felt that this was a better solution just to recognize the environmental constraints and prohibit development within that. Well, not prohibit, but limit the amount of development within floodplains.
As I recall, that was several tens of thousands of dollars to do some pumping there.
Correct. We spent several tens of thousands of dollars when we set up a temporary pump system to deal with the flooding at that time. When we did the watershed protection plan a couple years ago, we did look at a permanent option, and a permanent option, the price tag was kind of around $3.8 million.
So I had a question, Jason. This is Brad, Commissioner Dahl. I just wondered how many property owners is that? It looks like about 8 different properties. Is that 8 different owners, or is it like all one owner or something?
It's probably 8 different owners. I know that this property right here has this property has a house on it. This property has a house kind of tucked up in the corner right here. And I believe this one and this one does, but these 2 are vacant and these 2 are vacant. And they were all mailed letters, and we didn't, as I said, we didn't have someone specifically saying I live on this property and I'm objecting to this. We did have that general one, so I don't know if that's one of the property owners within this area. But as I said, the real challenge here is you've got the floodplains, the wetlands, and the critical areas, and really the area is not suited for development at kind of that 4 to 5 units per net acre density.
I guess you've done your due diligence on that, and if nobody's commenting except for one guy that doesn't even say which one he owns, then I guess you're good to go.
Yeah, we received a comment, and I'll just read it to you. It was at 5. It was like at 5:30, and it was like we don't support the down zoning of property, and I don't know what property that one was in relationship to.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh.
On to the next one.
On to the next one. So this one is kind of the undeveloped properties along Fennel Creek. This one actually has a very long history. When you go back and you look at the 1995 comprehensive plan and environmental impact study that was done then, the in-depth environmental analysis done at that time said that basically in order to mitigate for all the other development going on in the city, and due to the wetlands, floodplains, steep slopes, streams, channel, and soil, this area really should be in a conservation type designation. And we put the copy of that 1996 land use map in the code that kind of shows that corridor in green in order to kind of mitigate impacts. And the area really wasn't, this kind of area right through here was really not suitable for, once again, urban densities. In order to get to the back half of all of these properties, you would have to cross through a floodplain, build a bridge over a stream, and get back there. It was in the comprehensive plan to put it into the RC5 land use designation in order to reflect that. As we showed in the packet, we put a map in there that 99% of the properties here, of the property kind of in this area, about 90% of it is completely encumbered by critical areas. The RC5 zoning designation was specifically set up for those types of situations when you have properties that are heavily encumbered by critical areas, in order to have a way of, how to say this, having the zoning reflect the environmental constraints and also be able to protect and preserve those critical areas as required by the Growth Management Act. We did receive one, in the RC5 designation, you can still build homes. It's just at a lower density. We did receive one comment from a property owner in this area. They are at the very southern end of the rezone, kind of down here. And I talked with them quite a bit on the phone. Their general questions initially were, is this consistent with the Growth Management Act? Is it consistent with the city's comprehensive plan? And is it, have there been studies done to kind of show that we need to do these things? And I kind of talked the commenter through all of those items, and we've put those comments also in the land use matrix that show kind of, yes, it is consistent with the Growth Management Act. It's consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, and there have been a number of environmental studies that kind of discussed the need for this area to have kind of a lower density than you would normally find in the R1, which is like 4 to 5 units per net acre. The commenter's big concern was that they wanted to be able to split the property in two and build a house for their mother and a house for themselves. The zoning change would still allow that. They would be able to build a house and a smaller house. They would not be able to subdivide the property, but they would still be able to build a house and a smaller house, about an ADU, but ADUs can be up to 1,200 square feet. I did discuss with the commenter that if the property were to be subdivided, there was about an acre on the front of the property, so they wouldn't be able to just do 2 lots. They would have to do 4 lots, and then they would have to drag the sewer line in all the way from 410. They would have to do frontage improvements. So whether it's really feasible to subdivide the property with all the cost is an unknown at this point, but that we would work with them the best we could to be able to kind of meet their vision of building this house and this ADU. There were some other concerns that she voiced regarding the surrounding properties and the value of land in that area, which I couldn't really speak to, but that was kind of the big gist of it. But of all the properties, we did receive the one comment from the southern property owner.
No questions? Moving along.
We received the most comments about this one. So this is the last zoning change. It takes the kind of tracks
Yes.
that were excluded out of the residential area for Sky Island Division 6 and 7 and places them into the RC5 zone. Some things to keep in mind, this was also an area that was shown in the 1996-1995 comprehensive plan to be in that conservancy district. We did show it in the conservancy district when we did the comprehensive plan update. I did talk with the HOA president. Some of the concerns was that changing it from R1 to RC5 would change the tax status, and that's not really the case. The classification of the property as open space and open tracks and the park facilities that are kind of on that tax designation are based on the platting and what the property was dedicated for. The zoning won't change that. Actually, the RC5 is a zone designed to protect these areas and from development and to allow them to continue to protect them in open space. So I think we answered all of the questions around that. We did get a follow-up email thanking us for our comments and basically saying they understood it and they don't have the same level of concern that they had before. But yeah, there was a question about whether the zoning change would affect the tax parcel designation, and that's not the case in this case because the county has already identified it as parks, open space, and critical areas, green belts, I think they call it, in the tax ID code, and that wouldn't change because of the zoning designation because they were placed in that tax ID code based on the plat. And so everything they do in the area would continue to be able to operate. And finally, as I explained to the HOA, this ensures that all of the steep slopes along that hillside are in the same zoning designation of RC5.
Question, Frederick here.
Yeah.
That development area there has a total of 8 green belts and parks, different plats or different tax IDs. This change addresses 3 of them. Is there a reason the rest of them didn't get the same treatment?
We didn't go through and pick up all the little small ones. We were kind of going for the big ones that were right along the edge of the slope. We could have picked up the little ones because the blob kind of went over the whole area. We just felt it would look a little awkward because we're trying to not do spot zoning, so we left it just with the bigger chunk. And the one to the property directly to the north of this is also zoned RC5. So that was the reason to limit it to this one area versus picking up all the little small green belts throughout the community.
Okay, and then the area to the north of it that you're talking about, RC5, Spiketon Heights, I see that their tax bill per year is $3,500. But you're saying that the same size space below it's not going to have that experience.
Right, because the Spiketon Heights property is still considered private property that could have the development potential. The areas in that are in Sky Island here that are subject to the zoning reclassification, when you go look at the tax classification of those properties, it's different. So Spiketon Heights is vacant property. These are our open space, critical areas, green belts, and parks. So that's what the county's basing their designation on, and those lands have been permanently dedicated that way. So you could zone it whatever you want. That dedication is still in place.
Okay, that explains it. Thank you very much.
So, Jason, I have a question. This is Commissioner Dahl again. So when you change something to a public facility, does that shift the burden to the city for any type of maintenance on that piece of property, or is that still the responsibility of the HOAs?
It would be responsible for whoever the property owner is. In this case, that little blob that's going to public facility there is a city facility that we maintain already. But like the two private parks that are going to public facility, as I said, it's for general traditional public facilities, but these quasi-public facilities, it doesn't shift the burden and say that there are facilities. It just means it's a different. They are a unique set of properties that have uses that are not traditionally found and setbacks that are not traditionally found. So we have a little more flexibility in those because regulating a stormwater pond or a park is very different than, say, a single-family home. But it doesn't shift the tax burden or liability or responsibility to the city because it's still the underlying property owner.
Okay, I understand. Thank you.
Any questions on this? No? Any questions overall? Not appearing. And we got all the comments out of the way?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to close this public hearing. And we should go to a blocking it motion to send this forward. And I suspect we have that in our packet.
Correct. On page 5.
Yeah, I've got it.
Okay.
I can make the motion. So yeah, I would recommend that the City Council approve Ordinance D 21-85, amending the zoning map of the City of Bonney Lake.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I think Dennis gave us the second.
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried and it goes forward to the City Council. Now we go on to ordinance. I'm going to open the public hearing on ordinance D21-05, removing hotels and motels as permitted uses.
So this one I do not have a presentation for. I'll just kind of walk you through kind of what happened. Earlier this year, the state legislature passed a bill that kind of preempted some local zoning authority. One of those was related to permanent supportive housing and transitional housing, and the city council adopted interim regulations for that because we had to have regulations in the book by the end of July. Those regulations will have a public hearing and will have permanent regulations that will come through the Planning Commission. The other part of it said that by September 30th, cities had to allow for emergency housing and emergency shelters in any zoning classification, which also allowed for hotels and motels. Currently in the city has no hotels, has no motels. We don't have any applications for any. We don't have hotels and developers calling us regularly. We also did our economic vitality element update when we did our comprehensive plan, and it said we really don't have the market right now for hotels and motels. So instead of trying to figure out how to allow for the, homeless, emergency housing shelters and emergency housing facilities in the downtown and midtown, the decision was made to just remove hotels as a permitted use from the land use matrix. And once that's done, we don't have to then show how we're meeting that state statute because it only applied if you had zones that allow those things. And so by not having zones that allow those things, we don't have to show how we're applying or meeting those standards. So that's what the ordinance would do. It would remove those from the land use matrix as a permitted use.
Any questions on the ordinance?
I have a question. This is Dennis.
Yeah.
Yes, Dennis.
I don't know that it matters, but when you introduced this as a public hearing, you announced it as ordinance D21-05 instead of 95.
Oh, my bad. Thank you, Dennis. Ordinance.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Dennis. Sorry.
D21-95.
Yes. Any other questions on ordinance D21-95? Okay. This time I'm going to close the public hearing on the ordinance, and we should have a motion to adopt this. Yes, Bill?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt and recommend that the city council not approve ordinance D21-95. I beg your pardon. I recommend that the city council approve D21-95, amending the permitted uses in all zones in response to ESS HB 1220. Sorry about that.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion to approve it.
Boy, I think we're all dyslexic tonight. Motion has
It's been a
been
long
made.
week.
Yes, it has. Motion has been made, seconded. Any discussion on this? Call a question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. The motion is carried. And the ordinance now goes forward to council. Old and continuing business. New business. Don't hear Debbie, so none, I take it. For the good of the order. Correspondence.
None.
Staff comments.
So I have a few. One, just to give you a heads up. I know the council is meeting kind of in a hybrid capacity where they're using online and in person. However, there's a significant IT lift in order to do that, which has a cost. So the decision's been made that all commissions would stay virtual as long as the governor's proclamation remains in place that allows for virtual meetings and not do the hybrid approach that the city council is doing. So we are in a virtual meeting capacity until further notice, until the emergency proclamation is lifted, which I have no idea when that will be. But that was the decision made by city administration just due to the high IT cost of doing those hybrid meetings and the number of commissions that we have, and it would be hard to pick and choose which ones get it and which ones don't. So the decision was just to leave all of us virtual at this time. The next is I want to personally, on behalf of the city, thank Dennis Paulson. If you don't know or he hasn't said, tonight is his last meeting with the Planning Commission. He has decided to quit being the king of butter and be the king of travel. And so I personally, on behalf of the city, want to thank Dennis for his 18 years of service to the city on the Planning Commission. Dennis, your wit and insight will be sorely missed. If we had it in person and I had more time, I would have had a certificate for you tonight. So keep your ears tuned for you might be getting a call from me someday to get that part of it taken care of. But I do want to say thank you for everything and enjoy the travels. And if you're ever back in the area and want to stop by and say hi, Debbie and I are always here to talk to you. So I want to say thanks, Dennis, for all your time and service and insight, and welcome me when I first came about 10 years ago to the city. You guys all everyone on the Planning Commission kind of took me under their wing for a couple of years, so I appreciate it. And Dennis, you were one of them, so thank you very much. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner comments now.
Dennis has been the longest serving planning commissioner we've had. He and I first met at a city council meeting where they were interviewing us for an opening. And I have to admit, we had one heck of a good time meeting each other and dealing with the council. I think we had them rolling in their seats. But Dennis, you're going to be missed. I speak that from the heart.
I appreciate it. The comments that I have is it's been a long time. There's no question. And I've watched the Planning Commission grow from an infant that's unruly and not knowing what they're doing to something that is a very mature adult that is phenomenally run. And I have to tell you, the best I've ever seen that ran it is you, Jason, and Debbie. I've never seen anything better. I know that the city is going to be in great hands with that. And I've met so many wonderful people, and it's been such an honor to be able to serve with you guys. It just is an exciting thing. Really is, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'll never forget it. One of the highlights of my life, and I wish you all the best. I'm not leaving forever. I'm still going to keep my home here. We're just going to travel a bit, come back here. So I will be in town. I will see you guys till I drop dead. So you guys, thanks again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you.
Godspeed, Dennis.
Yeah.
Dennis, I have one more too. I just wanted to say it's really been an honor to know you and to serve alongside you and sit beside you for so many years. And I've always appreciated your wisdom and your insight on everything. Thank you very much.
That was my pleasure, guys. I really appreciate all of you. Good luck. Have fun. Don't take it seriously.
So, Dennis, when we get back into person, you'll have to come and make a visit and see everybody.
I will before I take off on the road. It'll be a while. My company doesn't close until December.
Okay. Jason, is Jessica going to get a briefing on the use of the emails and communications and such?
Yes. Once we get kind of the confirmation kind of process out of the way, she'll get a packet from Debbie with Chuck. So yeah, just aware, Jessica, you will get a city email, and we only send communication through the city email. That was kind of a controversy earlier this year. I hope I put it to bed, but all communications, because of the Public Meetings and Public Records Act, kind of flow through that email. But yeah, we'll get Jessica all set up with all those items.
Thank you.
And not to mention that when we tune in and we come in and before the meeting starts, it's being recorded. That's part of it.
No, I forgot that.
So,
Brad?
one thing, I noticed we haven't been excusing anybody that's been missing any of the meetings. Do you think we should maybe excuse at least Debbie Strauss-Boyd? She's missed a couple of meetings now, and
Yeah, I would say if the chair wants to entertain a motion to excuse the members tonight, that would be at the chair's discretion.
So the chair will entertain a motion to excuse Commissioner Sarver and Commissioner Strauss-Boyd from tonight's meeting.
so moved.
So moved. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, the ayes have it. They're excused. Thank you. Anything else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Go for it, Dennis.
I will second that. My final motion.
Here. All those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. We're adjourned. We'll see you in October.
Okay.
Hey, you guys have a wonderful life.
Thanks, Dennis.
Bye.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
And
Dennis.
Jessica, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
All right.